It was a cold, grey morning, the kind where the city seems to move in slow motion. People rushed past with collars up and faces buried in scarves, ignoring the world around them. Amid the chaos of honking horns, the smell of rain, and the clatter of footsteps, a little girl stood by the corner of an old bakery. Her clothes were torn, her feet bare, and her tiny hands wrapped around an empty tin cup. But it wasn't her poverty that stopped people in their tracks, it was her eyes. Those wide, hopeful eyes that seemed to carry a whole world of sadness and dreams within them. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of compassion, make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe to KindHeartsHub. Because stories like this deserve to be heard by every heart that still believes in goodness. She was around 10 years old, maybe younger. Her name was Zara. For as long as she could remember, the streets had been her only home. Her mother had passed away when she was just a child, and her father, once a musician with a soulful voice, had vanished after losing everything to addiction and despair. Zara never knew why life took away the warmth she barely had. But every night she remembered one thing her mother used to say: when you have nothing, you still have your voice, use it to find hope. Zara carried that sentence like a piece of her mother's soul. She would sit near the bakery because that's where the smell of bread was the strongest. People were kinder there, or maybe she just hoped they would be. Most days, she would quietly hum songs she half remembered from her father's performances at street fairs. Sometimes, she'd hum them to herself just to forget the sound of her own stomach growling. One afternoon, as the sun began to set and the lights of the city came to life, a man came out of the bakery. He wore a thick jacket, his hands full of warm loaves. Zara looked up and softly asked, "Sir, can I please have something to eat?" The man, distracted and in a hurry, didn't even look down. "Sorry, I don't have change," he muttered and walked away. Zara felt her throat tighten. She wasn't asking for money. She just wanted bread, one piece. But as the crowd thickened, her small voice was swallowed by the noise. Desperation pushed her to do something she had never done before. She took a deep breath, stood straight, and said to the next person who passed by, "If I sing well, will you give me food?" Her words caught people's attention. Some turned, others slowed down, curious. A street girl asking to sing for food. A few smiled pityingly. Others just shook their heads and walked on. But one woman, a young lady holding a camera, wearing a scarf and kindness in her eyes, stopped. "Go ahead," she said softly. Zara didn't know who this woman was, but her tone wasn't like the others. It wasn't pity, it was permission. So Zara sang. Her voice trembled at first, but soon the sound began to fill the air, soft, raw, and powerful. It wasn't perfect, it wasn't trained, but it was real. Every note carried the ache of hunger, the longing for love, the quiet resilience of a girl who had seen too much too soon. Her song told a story without needing words, of empty nights under bridges, of dreams that never died, of a child who still believed that maybe, just maybe, life could change. By the time she finished, there was silence. The young woman's eyes were wet, and even the bakery owner had stepped outside, holding a loaf in his hands. One by one, people began to gather, strangers who moments ago were too busy to care. Some clapped, some filmed on their phones, and some dropped money into her tin cup. But Zara didn't reach for the coins. She just looked at the bread. The bakery owner walked over and placed it gently in her hands. "You sang beautifully," he said quietly. The woman with the camera, whose name was Amna, later uploaded Zara's singing to social media with the caption, "A little girl with a big voice, all she wanted was food." Within hours, the video began to spread like wildfire. Thousands watched, commented, and shared. "Find her, help her, she deserves a chance." The comments poured in from around the world. The next morning, Zara woke up to a crowd around her usual corner. Reporters, photographers, and even the bakery owner, smiling nervously. Amna ran up to her and said, "Zara, you're famous, people want to help you." Zara didn't understand what that meant. She had never been to school, never used a phone, never known what fame was. All she knew was that for the first time, people were looking at her, not through her. A few days later, Zara was taken to a shelter. For the first time, she slept on a real bed. She ate until she couldn't anymore. Amna stayed by her side, helping her find her father through online searches and community posts. It took weeks, but one day, a man appeared at the shelter, thin, fragile, with eyes full of regret. It was her father. When he saw Zara, he fell to his knees and cried. She didn't know what to say, so she just sang the same song she had sung on the street that day. And as she sang, the staff, the reporters, and even the people watching the reunion online felt tears rolling down their faces. Zara's story became a movement. The bakery owner offered to sponsor her education. A local musician volunteered to train her. Amna continued to document her journey, and every video she posted inspired people to help other children living on the streets. Within months, Zara's voice wasn't just a sound of survival, it was a symbol of hope. She sang at charity events, at schools, and even on television. Each time, she reminded people where she came from. "I sang for food," she would say, "but what I found was love." Years passed. Zara grew into a young woman, her voice polished yet still filled with that same emotion that once made strangers stop on a busy street. She founded a small music school for underprivileged children, teaching them not just how to sing but how to believe in themselves. Her concerts raised funds for homeless kids, and every performance began with the same words, "Once I asked for food, now I give hope." If this story touched your heart, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to KindHeartsHub. Your one click can help spread kindness, inspire change, and remind the world that compassion still exists. And before this story ends, here's a special request from us. Comment below. Kindness can change lives. Let's fill the comment section with hope, just like Zara filled her world with music. Because sometimes all it takes is one moment of compassion to turn hunger into harmony, pain into purpose, and a street girl's song into a melody the world will never forget.